First and foremost, all praises to Yahweh, Yahweh Shai, the Most High, and his anointed King Priest, Christ Yahweh Shai. Okay, today's topic is make your election sure. This is the part 2. I did a part 1, I think, about a month ago. So this is the part 2 of making your election sure. And also, this goes into steps to making it into the kingdom, the different attributes that you would have to put on to make it into the kingdom and to make your election sure. The first scripture I want to go to is 2 Peter 1 and 5. The book of 2 Peter, first chapter, 2 Peter, first chapter, in the 5th verse. This is a continuation from Make Your Election Sure, part 1. Okay? 2 Peter, the first chapter, and the 5th verse.
Read out 2 Peter, chapter 1, verse 5. And besides this, giving all diligence, add to your faith virtue, and to virtue knowledge.
Now it said add to your faith virtue, and to virtue knowledge. What I want to deal with here, I want to deal with this word virtue, because virtue means it's showing high moral standards. Okay, if you have studied angelology and you know about the virtues in angelology, they are one of the highest order of the celestial hierarchy. Okay, those are virtues. Now we're going to go into the book of Colossians, the first chapter and the 16th verse, and we're going to read about some of these highest orders of the celestial beings. First Colossians, first chapter and the 16th verse.
Read out of Colossians, chapter 1, verse 16.
Come on.
For by him were all things created, that are in heaven and that are in earth.
Start from the 15th verse.
Read out of Colossians chapter 1, verse 15.
Come on.
Who is the image of the invisible power, the firstborn of every creature?
That's the Mashiach, Yahweh Shai, Christ. Go ahead.
For by him were all things created.
Come on.
That are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones.
See, it said whether they be thrones. It said all things was created by Yahweh Shai, by the blueprint of the Most High. So it's reading, it said whether they be thrones. Thrones is an order of angelic beings. Okay? Thrones. Go ahead.
Or whether they be all dominion.
Dominion is another order. It's another section of the angelic beings, this celestial hierarchy. Go ahead.
Or principalities.
And that's another name. The principalities is another order of the celestial hierarchy. Go ahead.
Or powers.
And powers is another one. Okay. And also you have, finish reading it. Continue. Finish it off.
All things were created by him and for him.
Go ahead. 17th verse.
Verse 17. And he before all things, and by him all things consist.
All things consist. Now, this celestial hierarchy, the orders of the angelic beings, you have the seraphims, you have the cherubims, you have thrones, like we just read, you have dominions, like we just read, and you have virtues, and you have powers, you have principalities, you have archangels, and you have angels. Okay, let's go back to 2 Peter, first chapter. And let's jump down to the 8th verse.
Read out of 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 8.
Come on.
For if these things be in you and abound, they make you that ye shall neither be barren nor unfruitful in the knowledge of our Adawan Hamashiach Yahushua.
Okay, now from my first class, or when you get time, read 2 Peter, read that whole first chapter. Now, the above verses were speaking about the different elements, the different attributes that you would have to take on to make your election sure. It's not just the physical aspects of going out in the streets and so forth, or putting up shows. You have to wear the spiritual aspects and the spiritual attributes as well. Those different elements which I'm going to name. So read that 8th verse again.
Read out of First Peter chapter 1, verse 8. For if these things be in you and abound, they make you that ye shall neither be barren nor unfruitful in the knowledge of our other one, Hamashiach Yahushua.
Okay, so the scripture's reading, if you sincere in this truth, you're going to try to secure all these attributes. All parts must play. No element should be sidelined or bench. All these elements should play in the game all at the same time. And these elements are diligence, faith, virtue, knowledge, temperance, patience, godliness, brotherly kindness, and charity. They must be activated and used together at the same time. They all must play. It's power and spirits in all these elements. They must be utilized. Read the 9th verse.
Read out of verse 9. But he that lacketh these things is blind, and cannot see afar off, and hath forgotten that he was purged from his old sins.
Okay, so the scripture said in verse 9 is, if you don't try or if you don't live in exercising these elements that was just named, that was mentioned, the scriptures say what? You're spiritually blind. And you're really destitute to the knowledge that you claiming to have. See, because we claim to have all this knowledge to go deep, but we're missing the simple things that the Most High want us to take into our bosom, want us to wear as a garment. And I'm going to read it again. Diligence, faith, virtue, knowledge, temperance, patience, godliness, brotherly kindness, charity. And the scripture in verse 9 said, if you're not exercising this or not utilizing these elements, you're spiritually blind. And the knowledge that you claim, or the knowledge that you claim to have, you have to put on these elements as well. Now let's go from there. Let's go to 1 Corinthians, brother. 1 Corinthians, the 13th chapter. We're going to talk a little bit more about charity, because one of those elements is charity. We're going to bring out the power that's in charity. 1 Corinthians, the 13th chapter. Start from the first verse.
Read out of 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 1. Though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels, and have not charity, I am become as sounding brass, or a tinkling cymbal.
The scriptures say, though I speak with the tongues of men, you can know all the languages, all languages of the universe. And it also say, and of angels. I mean, you can go into the angelic, have knowledge of the whole spiritual realm. And it's saying, have not charity. If you don't have charity, this charity is not just money. This charity right here is with love and respect, brotherhood. That's what this charity is talking about. But if you don't have charity, all the different languages and all that angelic and the heavenly knowledge, it don't mean anything. And it sounds like what? I am becoming what? A sounding brass, right?
Sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal.
So every time you sound off, you're just making a lot of noise because you're lacking that charity. Read the second verse.
Verse 2. And though I have the gift of prophecy and understanding all mysteries.
You can break down all prophecies, everything that's in the future. And you can understand all mysteries and go into the dark sayings and go deep into the history, deep into the mystical things. Okay, go ahead.
And all knowledge.
Right.
And though I have all faith.
You can have all faith. Go ahead.
So that I could remove mountains and have not charity, I am nothing.
And if you have not charity, you can do all these things, but if you don't have charity, it don't mean anything. Con, you see? Read the next verse.
Verse 3. And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor.
Okay, you out there feeding the poor, feeding people, packages and the whole works. But if you don't have charity, it profit anything, man. Go ahead.
And though I give my body to be burned.
Okay, you're going to be a martyr for this truth. Okay, we always say, I'll die for you, Yahweh. Why Yahweh said, I'll die for this truth. I'm not getting off these streets. You got to kill me. But look, if you don't have charity, that just might happen, and it will be in vain. Okay, go ahead.
and have not charity,
have not charity, you can become that model, feeding the people, feeding the hungry, clothing them, and everything. Go ahead.
it profiteth nothing.
It profits
It
nothing.
profits me nothing.
It profit me nothing. Okay, let's jump from there. We still in the same chapter. We're just gonna touch on a few verses. Let's jump to the 4th verse.
Verse 4, charity suffereth long, and is kind. Charity envieth not.
See, charity suffer long. It put up with a lot of BS, man. Okay, patience. And it say it is kind. It said charity envious not. It's not jealous of anything or anybody. If you have charity, if you have that element, if you're living in that element. Go ahead.
Charity vaunteth not itself.
It vaunteth not itself, which vaunteth mean charity is not arrogant. It's not patting yourself on the back. Oh, look at me. I, me. It's not self-promotion. And it also say it's not puffed up. It say charity is not puffed up.
Not itself.
It's not big-headed. Charity is not proud. Go ahead. Read the 5th verse.
Verse 5, doth not behave
Read
itself.
Right, do not. Go ahead.
Doth not behave itself unseemingly.
So the unseemly, it said charity do not behave itself unseemly, which charity is not disrespectful, like we are out there. We all on the internet disrespecting one another. Charity is not rude, man. We all in the streets disrespecting one another, man. You look up, you got about 20 videos, put out on you. Go ahead.
Seeketh not her own.
And charity does not seek its own. It doesn't seek its own praise. It doesn't praise itself. It is not selfish. Go ahead.
Is not easily provoked.
It's not quick to go at one another, to start beef with one another, to always want to rebuttal and always want to get in conflict with one another. That's not what charity is about. Continue.
Thinketh no evil.
Okay, so charity is not about grudges. It's not clinging on to things in the past. With all these days of atonement have passed year after year, and we still clinging on to what you done to me or what you said about me. Okay, but charity is not dealing with any grudges. It's not holding on to that stuff. Okay, jump to the 8th verse.
Verse 8, charity never faileth.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever there be prophecies, they shall fail.
Okay, so the scriptures say charity never faileth, which is letting you know that charity is a everlasting quality. It shall never fail, even at death. Charity continues. Charity outlive all gifts. Charity, show you how heavy and how important and how serious charity is, and how the Most High look at charity, look at these attributes if you live in them. And that's why we should take on and try to live according to charity. And the scriptures say charity is a great gift, but one of the greatest gifts that the Most High ever gave man, the Most High gave man, one of the greatest gifts is the man's mind. Now why? The man's mind is the greatest gift that the Most High have ever gave. And also, it's the dangerous gift that the Most High have ever gave man, and that's his mind. Now, why do I say that? Because man can choose to go against the Most High. See, that's what makes his mind so dangerous. You understand? But it's a beauty. The man mind that the Most High gave him, it's the beauty of the whole thing, man, if you utilize it and use it right. You understand? That's why we have to go into these scriptures and read the guideline, laws, and statutes of the Most High to live according to the Most High's principles. Okay, jump back into that 8th verse and start from the top again.
Reading out of 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 8. Charity never faileth, but whether there be prophecies, they shall fail.
It said, now whether there be prophecies, they shall fail, because there are prophecies that's saying that you have to teach your neighbor and so forth. We got to teach the whole world about the Most High. But in the kingdom, that prophecy would be fulfilled. So all prophecies would be fulfilled. You won't have to tell your neighbor about the Most High. You won't have to tell the world, the earth, about who the Most High is Yahweh works, who the Israelites are. We don't have to fulfill those prophecies because all prophecies will be fulfilled in the kingdom. So yeah, there will be no prophecies because they all will already have been fulfilled. You don't have to teach anybody about the Most High in the future world. Continue.
Whether there be tongues?
So the scriptures say in Zephaniah, that I would turn back to the world a pure language. So it's not going to be all these different languages. It's going back to that one original language. Okay, continue.
They shall cease. Whether there be knowledge, it shall vanish away.
It said, whether there be knowledge, it shall vanish away. Because where we at now is this old imperfect knowledge that we have. So the imperfect, see, we think we got some heavy, deep knowledge, but we have imperfect knowledge. We're not perfected yet. So this imperfect knowledge, it will cease in the future world because it'll be useless. In the Most High's kingdom, Yahweh's kingdom, the knowledge that we have now, this imperfect knowledge, will be useless because it would not be difficult in the future world to know about the spirit realm. You understand? Because that knowledge is going to be given to us. We're going to know about the spirit realm. We're going to know about the realities of life on earth. We're going to know about death. We're going to know about the elements and so forth. So the knowledge, it would not be difficult. See, but this imperfect knowledge that we have today, that would cease. And we would take it to the next level by the power of the Most High, because all the curtains of all secrets will be drawn away by the power of the Most High. And the knowledge that Solomon had on earth will be small, you understand, compared with the knowledge which the saints will have in the future kingdom. You remember the saying in the scripture what Christ said? Christ said, there's a greater than Solomon here. There's a greater than King Solomon. Yahushua said, I'm here. I'm greater than King Solomon. And Yahushua said that the saints will even do greater things than he did. So if we're going to do greater things than what Yahushua did, our wisdom is going to be on a high level, brother. Okay, let's go to the 9th verse.
Let me finish that. Can I do 9?
Go ahead.
Verse 9. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part.
Okay. Read that over.
Read out of 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 9. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part.
Right, because we don't have the complete understanding. You know, we just have little paces. We don't have the full understanding. And sometimes we're arrogant with this knowledge. And sometimes we're foolish with this knowledge, but we do not have the complete understanding. It's like looking through that mirror. You understand? We're looking at a reflection. Our actions and what we do in this society, teaching the Most High's word, is only a reflection. Now read that again, that 9th verse.
Read out of 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 9.
Come on.
For we know in part,
right,
and we prophesy in part.
There it is. Read the verse 10.
Verse 10. But when that which is perfect is come.
And that's that change. And Yahushua is the perfect one. And Yahushua said that, look, when he appeared, we shall be just like him. We will be complete. You got me? Let's read the 11th verse. Okay, finish the 10th.
But when that which is perfect is come, then that which is in part shall be done away.
Right, but when our change come, and when Yahushua is the perfect one, setting the examples for us, and complete us, we will be complete, man. All that other part stuff and half this and half that, we're going to be 100. We're going to be complete, 360. Go ahead, read the 10th verse.
Verse 11.
11th verse.
Verse 11. When I was a child, I spake as a child. I understood as a child.
So this scripture here is going back to that old imperfect state of knowledge that we have, because the knowledge we have, see, we think we deep, but the knowledge we have in this life is compared to what? A state of childhood. You understand? So as a child conceives, thinks, speaks of things suitable to his state, but when he become on that manly perfection to exercise his reason, then he put away the childish things. Okay, start it over again.
1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 11. When I was a child, I spake as a child.
That's what we're doing now. I mean, we still babies in this thing. And I know we get deep into the history, we get deep into these scripture breakdowns, and we tell like other young brothers and sisters, you still dealing with the milk level. But we, as dealing with the meat, we're still in this imperfect state. We're still on the child's level. Go ahead.
I understood as a child.
Right.
I thought as a child.
Come on.
But when I became a man, I put away childish things.
Put away childish things. That's when you become perfection. See, we don't have to beef with one another anymore. I don't have to put a video up on you. I just call you and deal with the situation. See, we've became a state of we act like grown men acting like children. Give me back my dump truck. I'm taking my basketball. We acting like kids today, man, because we're still in that imperfect, childish mentality. But when we're changed, and when Yahushua changes, and we're made after that order, then the manly perfection, okay, we will begin to see things crystal clear. The curtains of the whole spirit realm will be pulled back, and you could just stand and watch. And all that wisdom and all that knowledge and all that energy from that spirit realm will just pour in your mindset. Okay? And we will be complete as a nation. Continue, brother.
Verse 12. For now we see through a glass darkly, but then face to face.
Okay, it said, for now we see through a glass darkly, because even today, by reading the scriptures, we can see the divine revelations as the prophets did. But face to face is when we reach adulthood, when we take it to the next level from this childish state, when we reach adulthood, when we begin to see things after the gospel of Yahushua, then we will become face to face. We will see things face to face, not by a reflection anymore. We will clearly see the plans and the program and the principles of the Most High while Yahushua. Continue.
Now I know in part, but then shall I know, even as also I am known.
Okay, because the future world would be our state of adulthood, when all the wisdom and the understanding would be poured in our minds, and we would be recreated. You understand? We would be made over. You understand? So like we are known, as also I am known. See, in this childish, imperfect state, but the future world, when we're changed within the twinkle of an eye, but there's still other battles and still other exercises that we would have to go through. You understand? To reach that level of adulthood and to reach that level of manhood in the true spirit of the Most High and Yahushua. Okay? Read the 13th verse.
Verse 13. And now abideth faith, hope, charity.
You hear that? It said, continue, these three, right?
These three.
It said, and now abideth faith, hope, charity, these three. It's speaking about faith, hope, charity, but which one is the greatest?
But the greatest of these is charity.
The greatest of these is love and respect as men, as a nation. Con? Okay, out of all three, faith, hope, and charity, charity is the greatest. That's what the scriptures say. Okay? Now, with that, my brothers and sisters, this is the end of this class, part 2, make your election sure and steps to the kingdom. We would have to live and put on these attributes that we just read about. Let me go back over these attributes. They are faith, virtue, knowledge, temperance, patience, godliness, brotherly kindness, and charity. Those are steps to the kingdom. And those are steps to make your election sure. It's not just on a physical level. Because Yahushua said that when he comes, a lot of the people are going to be saying, hey, Lord, have I cast out demons in your name? Have I did this work and that work? Yahushua is going to say, depart from me, ye workers of iniquity. Depart from me. Okay, because of these other elements that we need, okay, to prove ourselves to the Most High and Wah Yahweh Shai. And I would say Shalom, brothers and sisters.
Shalom.
And all Israel, enjoy the rest of your Shabbat.